Hi everyone, my name is Kathrin. I'm a compulsive eater and bulimic. I weigh and measure 3 meals a day, like all of you from the gray sheet. I write them down. I commit them to my sponsor. I don't eat in between my meals, no matter what, and I eat my meals no matter what. My abstinence date is November 20th, 2018, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for abstinence, yeah, one day at a time, and very nervous as every time when I speak. And yeah, I I thought about, yeah, what can I say? I mean, I can tell my story, and also I would like to say maybe a little bit about preparations for a trip, because I'm on vacation at the moment, and what I do to hopefully stay abstinent on this trip. And yeah, but I can tell about my story first. Um, I heard yesterday in a different meeting about addiction, that people wonder if it is nature or nurture. I haven't heard this expression before, and I was not sure if I'm really a compulsive overeater, or if I just enjoy food too much or whatever it is. But when I look in my family, I can see that there is food addiction, and it has been for many generations. So I think there might be a genetic aspect to this. My family on my father's side is very obese. We had pigs when I was a child, and we would slaughter them, and we would eat a lot of meat and starchy vegetables with it. And so that's how people in my family got really big. And they have there is heart diseases, strokes, and bypasses on my father's side of the family. So I'm pretty sure I would go into this direction. And on my mother's side of the family, also other addictions. There has been alcoholism. Yeah, and I can see that it is also in my nature, so to speak. But I was a normal weight when I was a child, and it just came later that I slowly but progressively gained weight in my 20s and especially 30s, and it got progressively faster and worse. And yeah, I think I have to come to the point where I really understand and acknowledge the fact that I am a compulsive overeater, and that I am bulimic, and that I have an allergy that is the physical part of this disease. And Gray Sheet deals with that with a food plan that leaves out the sugars, the grains, and the starches as much as possible, because these are the things that I react to very strongly, and I develop a craving and I want more from it. And it says in the big book, to the allergy, it starts with the doctor's opinion, and I will try to translate to compulsive eating when it talks about alcoholism. The physician who, at our request, gave us this letter has been kind enough to enlarge upon his views in another statement which follows. In this statement, he confirms, we who have suffered compulsive overeating torture must believe that the body of the compulsive eater is quite as abnormal as his mind. In our belief, any picture of the compulsive overeater which leaves out this physical factor is incomplete. Yeah, so I have this physical allergy, and it gets also nurtured by society, or I mean, when I see the food and how it is advertised, and the smells and the pictures and everything, I mean, it really feeds the addiction and the craving. And yeah, I was my disease really got really worse also in connection with another addiction I have. We have a German praise for it when you gain weight because you have a lot of sorrow or you are very depressed and sad, that you develop a lot of fat around you. I haven't found the English translation for that, but yeah, it's something like pity fat or something like that. And I'm definitely someone who had gained a lot of fat during my depression. And I was in a dependency relationship where also my mental illness was shown through that, with obsessive compulsive behavior, impulsive behavior, destructive on and off relationship going on for more than a decade. And I went to therapy because of this. And I think at some point my therapist really gave up on me. He turned around the just for today saying into just for today. You went back to this relationship and let's start again tomorrow. He just turned it completely around. And then he suggested that I would go to a treatment center. And I did that. I was suicidal at that point. I had misused not only food, but also alcohol. It came to numb myself because I just couldn't deal with the loneliness and the depression. Yeah, and I went to that center, and a part of that was they offered 12-step fellowships. OA was a fellowship that they had there, and AA and SLAA and other things. But I went to codependence because that was what the therapist told me to do. And after 6 weeks, oh yeah, and the food there, the food, it was great. It was whole food with whole grain, and I had a craving all through the day for the next meal. So they thought this was the best that they could offer us. And I know that the people who were in the food fellowship, they sat at a separate table, and I would always look to them over to them with sort of pity and worry at the same time, because I didn't tell anybody about my food, and I thought, oh, if I would eat with them at the table and I would have to tell everybody what I would eat, and I hated them because they were allowed to get their food first in the queue. They were allowed to, stand in front, and they would just walk past me, and I would have to stand there with my plate and wait. And I was really, yeah, I mean, it was obvious that I have a problem with food and a strong craving for more. Yeah, but I didn't talk about it. And after the 6 weeks I spent there, I went back to my place where I live, and 2 days later I was back in the alcohol, the smoking, the relationship. It was all back to normal, so to speak. And I was very, very desperate. I think really higher power stepped in. I prayed a lot, and I found a 12-step fellowship where I could finally let go of this dependency relationship. And that was in 2016 in April. And I threw myself into recovery. I went to 3 meetings a day. I did more than 90 meetings in 90 days. I just had to replace all this craziness with some, serenity and clearness. And then I went to my first 12th tradition workshop. It was the first workshop ever, to Munich. I didn't know what would happen. And I just went there, and the person who gave the workshop flew in to Germany, and he was weighing and measuring his food. And I was completely baffled. What was he doing, And I didn't dare to ask him. I remember celebrating my 35th birthday at a friend's place. That was like half a year later. And I said to her, really, this is the quote, I would have, this is also a German saying, I don't know if that is something in English. I would have to miss a leg to go to GreySheeters Anonymous. I would sit in front of my non-abstinent food for my birthday and say this because I thought, thank you, Aga. I thought I would miss so much these things, but I was still thinking about it half a year later. You know, it's crazy. And this missing a leg thing, it comes up in the big book again. I looked it up today where it is, and it is in the chapter 3. It said here, we are like men who have lost their legs. They never grow new ones. Neither does there appear to be any kind of treatment which will make alcoholics of our kind like other men, or compulsive eaters like other men. We have tried everything imaginable. In some instances, there has been brief recovery followed by always a still worse relapse. Physicians who are familiar with compulsive eating agree there's no such thing as making a normal eater out of a compulsive overeater. Science may one day accomplish this, but it hasn't done so yet. So this is the fact. I mean, I had already missed the leg when I talked about it, and I came to GreySheeters Anonymous finally in December 2017, and getting abstinent was very difficult. I had withdrawals. My emotions were going up and down. My kitchen looked like a mess for about, I don't know, 3 months or so, until I finally got used to it. I bought myself a very big fridge for all the food that I need, and slowly I started taking care of myself, doing acts of self-care. I love my fridge. It's amazing. But I tried again to control the compulsive eating by making a diet out of it, like eating on the gray sheet for 5 days and then on the weekend binge and go out and do the things, you know. And that's how I left GreySheet in the summer of 2018. Of course, I gained all the weight back. Of course, the bulimia kicked back in again. And so in November 2018, by grace, I was led back to GreySheet. And thankfully, it didn't take much longer than this half year of trying on my own. And I must say, I'm very, very happy with it. I cannot imagine a better solution for my compulsive eating. I have always baffled at the thought. I thought GreySheet is the only 12-step program that I know where I can control and enjoy my eating or my food, where in other fellowships it says you cannot control and enjoy drinking in AA, for example. It's impossible. You have to have entire abstinence. And I think I got it. It is that I cannot control and enjoy my compulsive overeating. That's impossible, but I have to eat. And GreySheet gives me the control of what I can eat and what amount, and then I can enjoy it. I hear often people say about guilt-free eating, and that's what it is for me. And thank you, I can see it. And so this is amazing because I cannot abstain from food and I need to eat. And with GreySheet, I can eat without having cravings. It's amazing. So I cannot be grateful enough for that. And I don't know what else to say. I'm very happy. Thank you.